It's the supposed builder figure for the Justice League task force wave, which contains Batman, Aquaman, Superman, and the Flash. For the four figures, for the builder figure, as you can see here, we have this Darkseid. Now, based on what I'm seeing, this could be either a render or a prototype.
Welcome back mga ka-review, my name is Kit and welcome to Kamote Customs. Today, I will be sharing with you my custom Darkseid figure, a classic Darkseid. You noticed before the intro, my figure have caused quite of a controversy because someone posted this in the McFarlane Facebook group, asking if this is legit or not. I actually uploaded this on Instagram, but then I changed my mind because I have so many custom figures that I haven't reviewed yet. So I decided to take it down without knowing that someone has already downloaded the picture of my custom Darkseid and post it on Facebook. So let's get started. For the ingredients in making this figure, obviously we will be needing to build a figure of the Darkfather wave, which is of course, Darkfather. In my country, here in the Philippines, we can get this whole wave for like $25 or less if we ordered it from overseas. My fellow Filipinos knows about this store called GMP or Global Merch Part. They sell action figures like McFarlane toys very cheap, so I bought the whole wave just to get the buff and to make this custom. I decided to use this buff figure to make a classic Darkseid because for me, it's just the right size. Because if you notice, in the Justice League the animated series and comic, Darkseid isn't really a giant. He's bigger than Superman, sure, but not giant like the one in the New 52 era. So now, let's start with the process. The first thing that I did was I disassembled the buff part, I removed the belt, and the bat emblem, as you can see. For the gauntlet, I removed the spikes using a grinder. If you don't have one you can cut or slice the spikes and use a sandpaper to smoothen the gauntlet. But I really suggest that you get this mini grinder. This will really help you save a lot of time in your customs and will make the work a whole lot easier. And for the parts that I will be painting in blue, I coated it with a white paint first, so that the paint will pop out a lot more and so that I don't have to go and put a lot of paint. This is very important, so I suggest you do this every time you're planning on painting parts in a darker paint, like black. I did this for the head too. By the way, the paints I used here are Tamiya flat white and flat blue. For the chest, I put a drifted fabric on it, coated in textile paint. The main purpose of this is so that the fabric won't break, and it will harden so we can cut it a lot easier. I will be leaving the link for the in-depth review below so you can see how I do it. And before you paint, make sure to paint the chest first before the abs to prevent paint rub. For the crotch piece, you can paint it if you like, it's up to you, but for me, I want it to be blue. For the helmet, I put a masking tape on Darkseid's head and traced where the helmet should be. Then I make a copy from a dry fit fabric with a textile paint. I made two, stuck it together to give it a little thickness as you can see, and paint it just like what we did to his chest. Same process for the belts, I painted it using Tamiya chrome silver, and mix it with a gloss coat to protect the paint. Make sure to put a little bit of clearance when making the belt because we will be inserting the skirt in his waist, so do not make it too tight. I used the same chrome silver paint for the shoe sole, the shoulder piece too. The same technique applies to the blue paint. Again, use flat blue for the first coat, second coat, then the last coat should be a mix of flat blue and gloss coat to protect the paint. For the face, I used a flat dark sea gray paint. You will need to mix the paint with white or black to match the skin tone of Darkseid, as you can see. For the eyes, I used Tamiya flat red. If you don't have a very fine brush, you can use a toothpick to paint the eyes. This is very tricky, so go easy and slowly. Just dab the paint in Darkseid's eyes to prevent paint bleeding. Now that we're done with the painting, here's what the figure looks like without the skirt. So as you can see, he looks like a Silver Age Darkseid without the skirt. You can leave this as is, if you want, but I want him to have a skirt, so let's make one. We need a royal blue dry fit fabric to make the skirt. I used a fabric glue, so I don't have to stitch it together. It's very simple actually. You just have to make sure to get the right measurements before gluing it together. Again, I have an in-depth tutorial on how to make fabric suits using a fabric glue. I will leave the link down below so I can show you how to do it properly. To prevent the fabric from breaking at the edges, I put a textile paint from the inside of the skirt, so you can move his legs without worrying if the skirt will hold up. Now we're finally done. We all know that there's going to be a Darkseid figure coming from McFarlane Toys, but it's getting a little too expensive for me, so I decided to make my own Darkseid, so just in case I don't get one, I'm happy with my custom. Sure, there's a little problem with it, like in the chest, you can still see the empty bat emblem in there. I should have filled it with some putty, but it's a lesson for me to not get too excited when making customs, but it's not too noticeable if you didn't know how this figure looks like before, so still, I'm proud for this one. It's just the right size. Again, as I said before, I don't want a giant Darkseid. Like the Kalivak Mega figure that McFarlane released, Darkseid is menacing even when he's not giant. My preference is from the Justice League the animated series, so I'm really happy with how this turned out. So I guess that's it. I hope you all like this custom, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please like and subscribe. It will help our channel a lot, and if you have comment, questions and suggestions, please feel free to comment down below. I will do my best to answer all your questions, and I would love to have a conversation with all of you. And of course, let's talk some more customs next time. Salamat!